Whether they're sledding on state trails or driving like daredevils through ditches, there's little doubt Minnesotans love snowmobiling.
I've been riding since I was like 5 years old.
In fact, this year alone, more than 267,000 residents are registered to ride 18,000 miles of state-funded trails. Count this dad and this teenager among the many hardcore enthusiasts.
It's just a rush. It's a lot of fun.
Bruce Sparty, orthopedic surgeon, and son Adam, a tough high school linebacker, are no strangers to the sport, with 30-plus years of snowmobiling experience between them and not one accident.
You prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Until January 1st, when the worst finally caught up with them.
At 2 a.m., I received a phone call from the police in Canada telling me very calmly that there had been an accident involving my son. My first thought was, no, there's not. I just saw his car in the garage. Then I remembered quickly that Adam was snowmobiling on a snowmobile trip.
For Adam and Bruce Sparty, riding Minnesota's Groom Trail simply wasn't enough of a rush. So they headed to Canada and found great powder, but also great peril in the wilderness of British Columbia.
You're working out and you're pulling a 500-pound sled around at altitude in places where most people can't even walk.
The place is the resort town of Revelstoke in the heart of the Keystone Mountain Range. Sledders come here for the scenery and solitude, and the chance to blaze trails through virgin powder deeper than the height of a man. The mountains are steep, the terrain rocky and rugged. It's here that the Bardys and family friend Brian Oxtill hit the trail. Who would have guessed they would soon be fighting to save young Adam's life?
The police told me that he went over a cliff. I had to ask specifically, is he missing? Is he alive? Is he paralyzed?
And immediately I had a flood of emotion of guilt and anger and you know, why did it have to happen, and we weren't doing anything wrong.
In fact, Adam had been doing everything right, driving his sled 900 feet down a 45-degree slope, in and out of thick pines, using maneuvers his dad taught him years ago.
You basically grab the handle up here on the handlebar and you grab this hook and you would tip up the sled like this to go around the tree.
But before Adam could complete one of those tricky turns,
The snow gave way on one side and I lost control a little bit and I slid into a tree sideways.
with so much force, it snapped his femur just above the knee.
The fracture line was right across here.
It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Adam's situation was becoming more serious with each passing minute.
What you have to do with a fracture like that right away is you have to unkink the fracture, because it's not the bone that's the problem, it's the blood vessels and the nerves that will get tractioned or kinked, and that could really change the life of the limbs.
Using his helmet's two-way radio and a strong set of lungs, Adam guided both men to his crash site.
It was probably 20 minutes. I don't know, I was yelling and my sled was still running because I fell off, and so they could hear that. And then they found my trail and then they walked down and they found me.
Bruce immediately went to work to set Adam's leg. The only medicine on hand, a dose of fatherly wisdom.
My dad set my leg and he said we're only gonna have one chance to do this, because he said that I wouldn't let him do it again because it would hurt so bad.
We rigged up a harness with some of the safety straps that we had, and I belted him to a tree around his waist and around his chest plate so I could pull against his leg and I wouldn't slide him down the hill, and it would give me nice counter force, and I was able to snap his leg back into alignment.
To immobilize Adam's broken leg, Bruce transformed a couple of portable shovels.
Then we lashed him from handle to handle around his leg once his leg was straightened, using the boot as a foundation to make a nice splint.
The next task for Bruce and Brian was to get Adam to a hospital 30 miles away, but there was no one in sight to help.
So at that point in time, we made the decision that I would stay with Adam and he would ride back. I knew that if anybody could make it out and back, it would be him.
With night coming on, Bruce began to worry about frostbite, hypothermia, and shock.
It was close to 0 degrees that evening, and without getting a fire and keeping yourself warm, it certainly could have been a disaster.
But making a fire would prove Bruce's toughest challenge.
By this time, I'm in my long johns and my boots and my gloves because I had wrapped him up in my snowsuit. I took my handsaw and I carved some of the bark off of one of the trees, and then we extracted some of the gas out of the machine and saturated everything, and then sparked it off and got it going. And then we just had to keep it hot enough to keep the green growth going because we had nothing but evergreen to burn.
2,300 miles away in the Barty's Stillwater home burned another flame, fueled by faith.
I wanted to be close to Adam. So I grabbed my prayer book and my rosary beads and went to Adam's room and on my knees to pray. If I thought of the angels helping Jesus, I just sent them directly to my men.
And Nancy's angels were on their way. After nearly 3 hours of sledding alone, Brian Oxtel finally made it to the station house of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. It was 5:30. 4 hours later, a 14-man search and rescue team from Revelstoke arrived at the accident site. A fatigued father and son were grateful for the company.
They were certainly a lively bunch and enjoyed their escapade quite a bit, and it made my evening quite a bit better.
They brought a lot of supplies, chainsaws and blankets and stuff to build me a fire, and they were really nice and very supportive.
Due to darkness and the rough terrain, the rescue team decided to wait until morning to airlift Adam off the mountain. January 2nd, 9 a.m. The helicopter heads out to pick up Adam. There was just one hitch.
They said you're going to ride under it before you go inside.
The chopper wasn't equipped with a winch, and it couldn't land on the uneven slope. So a 200-foot cable called a long line was dropped into the site.
They got me all strapped into the basket, and the guys told us the plan.
The plan was a daring one, to lift Adam over the towering 100-foot pines, fly to a level spot on the mountaintop, set him down, land the chopper, and load him on. One last thrill ride a father and son would never forget.
We were spinning around a lot because of the propellers, and I don't know, it was pretty crazy.
I thought to myself, holy smokes, he got through the whole night. Now I just hope this cable's good, and it was. That was a tough time.
An hour and a half later at Queen Victoria Hospital, the long, tense hours for the Bartys officially ended. It was time, finally, to share a smile and reflect on their good luck. And the knowledge they'd left nothing to chance, including radios, riding together, and an intangible respect for the mountain.
It's actually very challenging to survive, even given all of that stuff.
My dad kept telling me we were going to make it out of there. Like, he would build me a big fire and keep me warm and stuff, and he would always keep me positive, so he kept my hopes up.